Om Shanti. To celebrate Maha Shivratri event, let us open this evening with a dance about Shiva.
First of all, I agree that it'd be great to thank Janie for that amazing, beautiful dance. I don't know if you know about Janie, but Janie has been a Raj Yoga student for the last 13 years. And she also regularly helps out here at the Inner Space Wembley on Saturdays as well. So good evening and a warm welcome to everyone here. So my name is Mitesh. I'm actually a mortgage and commercial broker. I've been in the financial services industry for over 20 years. I've also I'm also a Raj Yoga student and practicing meditation for the last 25 years. And in my spare time, I enjoy playing badminton and table tennis. I don't know if everybody knows Sister Nidhi. Can I just see with a show of hands who doesn't know Sister Nidhi? So everybody knows Sister Nidhi. Yeah. Great. So a brief introduction about Sister Nidhi. So she's actually part of the Inner Space team here in Wembley. She's lived a spiritual life since her childhood and is an inspiring speaker as well. And I'm sure you'll find out this evening. She's also part of the Brahma Kumaris team at the UN and is involved in various projects. She has also recently also visited the UN. I can't remember, when was it?
February.
This year, in February. Do you want to say a bit about kind of why you went and how you involved with the UN? I think that's quite interesting. So I think before we begin, I'll get Sister Nidhi to share a bit on that. But before we go on to that, I just want to cover off some housekeeping rules. So if I could kindly request everyone to switch off their mobiles or set them to silent. The emergency exits are there for your well-being. In the event of an emergency, the ushers would guide you if there is an emergency. We are not expecting anything today. Taking photographs and filming will occur this evening. However, if there are any objections, please notify our ushers. And just a quick show of hands. I'm assuming everyone has been here before, but is anybody here for the first time? Any chance? Okay. Special welcome. Okay, so
we have online viewers as well.
Oh yes, we have online viewers joining us as well. So very warm welcome. So I think before I begin with my questions, it'd be nice for Sister Nidhi to share a bit about the project that she's involved with the UN, because I know there's been a lot of developments with regards to the Brahma Kumaris involvement, and I know that she especially went this February, I believe. So maybe you want to start off with that.
So, good evening to everyone and welcome. Just to answer what Mitesh is asking, it's very much connected to today's topic actually, because today we're going to interview me and ask me questions about the occasion of Maha Shivratri. And Shiva is known as the most benevolent, one which is full of kindness, one who's full of compassion, the compassionate one, the merciful one. And we being his children, it's our responsibility to bring that compassion in our actions. One is to talk about compassion. One is to talk about kindness. But what really matters is when we bring that into our actions. And that's what Brahma Kumaris as an organization is trying to do, right? So since late 80s, 87, we have got a general consultative status with the UN, the Brahma Kumaris, which means that when UN is especially, how many of you have heard about COP? The COP conferences, climate change conferences, right? UN has got 17 sustainable development goals.
Right.
And they say that these goals, they aim to achieve them by 2030.
Right.
And climate change is one of them, like to reduce climate anxiety and stuff like that. But the first goal and the second goal is about eradicating poverty, making this world a better society, and having having a world where there is no hunger. Nobody's starving, right? Is it easy, do you think, by 2030 possible? Zero poverty, zero hunger? Not really. So what they do is UN tries to have commissions where they can create policies to accelerate this process. So all the members from across the globe, member state, which means the diplomats, the ambassadors from every country, they come together, and the NGOs like Brahma Kumaris, they also attend, they also go and give their inputs. Right. So we as Brahma Kumaris are supposed to write a written statement which would help them create and formulate policies. Right. Also, we get a chance to speak at the assembly in front of everyone for 3 minutes to put our point forward. Right. And then we can hold different events in the UN building. But to do that, we have to do a lot of homework. Like if I'm saying something, then I need to back myself with actions. So Brahma Kumaris, as you all know, and those who are watching us first time, we have a great network of 9,000 centers across 140 countries. And every country, souls, brothers and sisters who are part of Brahma Kumaris are really doing a lot of seva, service with a compassionate heart. So being in that team, I get the honor and the privilege of knowing what's happening around the globe from the organization point of view. And that enables me to present our team, actually, to present it at the UN and also to work to achieve those sustainable goals.
So basically to walk the talk.
Try to.
Great, excellent. I hope you found that quite useful. So just to sort of understand what this evening's topic's all about. So the topic is living with the light, faith and kindness. So my first question to Sister Nidhi is that when I read this topic, I thought to myself that I would normally associate living with the light with the festival of Diwali. So I'm wondering, what is the link with living with the light with the festival of Mahashivratri?
So very interesting, because when we talk about light, Diwali is the first thing that comes, because Diwali is the festival of lights.
Yes.
Shivratri is celebrating the light.
Right.
So festival of lights, Diwali, means I am trying to ignite the light within me to glow and glorify my own life. But how do I do that? Like if, say, for example, you've got candles, tea lights, and you want to lit all of them, you need one candle. Right? And Shivratri is that one source, the powerhouse, the ultimate light.
Right.
And when we say the ultimate light, I'm talking about the divine, the supreme light. The supreme light, because Mahashivratri, Maha means great. So it's all about celebrating, knowing, identifying, and recognizing the greatness which is there within the light. Understanding the depths of the light. Understanding who the light is. Who is that divine power, the divine source that actually is with us all the time? And how do I connect or tune into that light so that I can ignite my inner light? Because I am light too. But unless I recognize that light, I won't be able to recognize this light. And it's vice versa. The more I recognize me as being the light, I can connect to the light. And the more I understand and recognize the light, you call it God, you call it source, you call it divine, you call it the universe, you call it the ultimate consciousness.
Right.
I can know myself better.
Okay, so I'll touch on a bit about what you just said, but what I wanted to also ask you as a follow-on question in regards to the topic itself is that we've touched on the first bit. So how does then faith and kindness relate to Shivratri? Because if I look around and search, the meaning of Shivratri and look at kind of what generally happens, I don't normally find faith and kindness are words that are generally used when you talk about the festival of Shivratri. So just curious to understand, where does this fit in?
It's very strange that you don't realize that, because if we take the devotion aspect, the bhakti aspect, there are two major stories which are connected with Shivratri.
Mm-hmm.
One is the wedding of Shiva and Parvati.
Mm-hmm.
That is the most profound and most known story, that on the same day they got married. If you see Shankar is somebody who is in a very strange attire.
Yeah.
He's got snake as a garland. He's got this, the rope, which is of a tiger skin.
Yes.
He's got ashes all around. So it's a bit furious. And then he's got this dreadlocks and things like that. And Parvati, on the other hand, is very pious, pure, serene, and a human. Right? Now, a deity and a human, no connection. But it was the faith that Parvati had,
Right.
that made her into a deity. She was born as a human,
Right. Okay.
but she could get married to this divine energy, to a deity energy, by invoking the deitism within herself. And that was only possible because of the faith that she had.
Right.
And the other thing is, they say there's this, I don't know how many of you have heard about the spinning of the ocean, Samandar Manthan. And in that one point, there was a lot of poison that had come out.
Yeah, I've seen that when I did the research.
Yeah, I'm not going into the details of the story, because that's not what we are here for. But at that time, when the poison was there, nobody wanted to take it. And if nobody accepted it, then the whole world would come to an end.
Right.
Who drank it? What does this show? The kindness, the benevolence, the compassion that the Supreme has for the world. But again, I would like to bring here a little thing, because Shankar is a manifestation. Shiva is the ultimate.
Right.
So there's a difference.
So they're not one and the same.
They're not one and the same.
Right. Okay.
There's not one and the same. But because Shiva is the light, we can't see. We need a manifestation. Like if I say there is Mitesh here and you cannot see Mitesh, what would you feel? Like, what am I talking about?
I see.
Right? So as human, we need to see a form.
Right. Okay.
And that's why for Shankar, they say he is ayoni, which means he has no gender. But actually, when you see, he has got a male gender. So the manifestation helps us to understand the characteristics of the divine.
Right. Okay. So you've mentioned this word divine a few times now. So I guess a very simple question to ask is, how do we get to know the divine better?
As I mentioned, know yourself better. And the only way to know yourself or to know divine is to allow your mind to experience silence. It's not through intelligence, it's not through logic, it's not through debate, but it's through experience of the soul. Because I am trying to connect to the Supreme Soul. So for that, I need to let go or detach myself from all the labels that I've given to myself, or the way I identify or visualize or see myself.
Yeah.
Like when you were introducing, you said you are into the finance sector, right? So you're seeing yourself as a broker, you're seeing yourself as this. Yeah. But can I let go of that identity? Can I even let go of the identity of me being a woman or a man, or me being a housewife or a working woman or a working a father or a mother or brother, all those relationships, all those roles that I'm playing? Because the moment I identify myself with those roles, what happens is there's a lot of chatter here. There's constant voices that come. Doesn't it? Do you experience? If I think I'm a mother, I've got a list of responsibilities that will pop up, right? And then I'll get into that circle of how do I fulfill it. Forget about just fulfilling it. The other thing is, what are the expectations that other people have of me? And if I'm not able to live up to those expectations, I have to work hard on the regret and the guilt that I am self-imposing on myself. And at one point of time, I would maybe self-sabotage myself. So it's very important to reduce those noises that I have within me. Just go in silence, let go of all the roles, the responsibilities that this character is playing, and allow myself to be detached from the character, because this is just a character. I have played many characters, right? I'm much more than what you and I can see in this character. Say, for example, you see me as Sister Nidhi, but I'm not just a sister. I'm more than that. Yes, right now I'm playing a role, which is a bit spiritual, which is I'm on a spiritual journey and things like that. But I'm a bit more than that. And when I go in silence, I touch my true self. I experience my true self. There is that freedom, there is that serenity, there is that truth. And when I'm able to connect with my truth, I'm able to connect to the supreme truth, the ultimate.
So you mentioned the word silence. It's quite interesting, almost like the foundation to try and get to that ultimate goal, which you just explained. So I guess what I'm wondering is, what kind of habits can you instill on a day-to-day basis to create that inner silence?
Friendship with yourself, the first thing. Relationship with myself. Because when in our day-to-day lives, we've got so much going on, so much. And it's very easy to do everything for everyone and not give enough time for yourself. Sacrifice yourself, your emotions, your health, all those stuff. So when I built that relationship with myself, and what do I mean by relationship with myself? What is the amount of quality time I spend with myself? Quality time, people nowadays call it me time. Now, what is this me time? If I'm going to have 1 hour me time, and if I'm thinking in that 1 hour, let me watch something motivating, let me read something, let me write something, or let me just listen to music, let me go for a walk, let me do something meaningful, then I'm not spending time with myself. Do you realize? I'm spending time with somebody else's thoughts. If I'm watching something, I'm spending time with that person, their thoughts.
Right.
If I'm reading something, it's been written by somebody, so I'm spending time with that person. If I'm listening to music, I'm again tuning my vibrational energy with the feeling of those words, the lyrics. So I'm tuning into somebody else's energy.
Okay.
So I'm not with me. I'm constantly with someone. And now the point is how difficult it is to be with me. If I tell you 5 minutes with yourself, easy? What's going to happen? Check for yourself. Like 130 thoughts in 1 minute.
So when you're saying with me, as in, what are you actually physically doing? Are you having a conversation internally? Are you checking your thought pattern? What is it that's happening?
So when you say with me, it's like, say, for example, you've come for the first time, right? All of them know me well because they've been coming. If you wanted to know me, what would you do? You would ask me a few questions. You would try to spend time with me. You would want to know me better, right? Have you done all this yourself with yourself? No. So that's the first step. The first step is to ask yourself few questions, meaningful questions. Say, for example, if I ask you about your best friend or your partner, can you describe your partner or your best friend or your mother or your brother? Easy, right? But if I ask you describe yourself, you have to start thinking, huh? How are you going to introduce me? You have to think, what shall I say? What can I say? Either I'll go too humble, or I'll start saying, I have achieved this, I am this, I am this, I am this, I belong to this, I belong to that. These are my positions, this is what I have done. But I'm not asking that. I'm asking who you are. You need to think. Then you might come up with your qualities, your goodness, your likes, your dislikes, but everything is external. And there is little disconnection. And the reason there is this connection is because I've not spent enough time with myself. So, like you, we meet many peoples in the journey of life, right? And some people are energy gels, and we want to know them better. We feel they're interesting. We spend time with them. We observe them. We try to learn from them. There are a few questions that we would ask. We would see. We would understand. We would get inspired. My question to all of you is, how many times you have been inspired by your own self? How many times? How many times throughout the day, maybe 30 years, 40 years, whatever I'm in this body, how many times I've said, no, this is something very interesting that I have identified in me. Other people might appreciate. And I would like listening to what other people think about me if they are saying good things about me, right? But do I think the same for myself? Because when other people are saying good about me, I'm liking it. 110% when somebody is going to criticize me, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. My inner stage will become a bit up and down. Why? Because if I am affected with praise, I'm definitely going to be affected by defamation. And in that state where I need strength, I'll find myself weak. Why? Because I am seeing myself with other people's vision. Mitesh, I think this about you. If you see now, you have started seeing that, oh, Sister Nidhi is thinking about me like this. How would you feel about yourself? Because you have invested that 3 minutes to think what I am thinking about you. And that's where we lose our self-respect. The light, the supreme light, is constant. That's why there's a word called Sadashiv. Have you heard about that? Sadashiv. For Sri Krishna, we never say Sada Krishna. For Sri Ram, it's never said Sada Ram. But for Shiva, Sadashiv. Sadashiv means the one who is constant. Constant. Right? With other deities, they're always in up and down. They experience emotions, they become happy, they become sad because they are trying to manifest the lifestyle of a human. But for Shiva, it's constant. And why I'm bringing this up is because the Supreme Light teaches us to stay constant in our self-respect, not ego. We are very good with staying constant in our egos.
So can I just intervene there? So you mentioned in between about the whole concept of looking inside, understanding the qualities, and trying to maybe motivate yourself. And you said not about listening to music or, in terms of when you have your me time. So the thought that I had was, surely when you're trying to get that stage, wouldn't you engage with some spiritual books or CDs in order for you to build that stage so that you can achieve the type of thoughts and bits that you just touched on? And I guess linking with that is that isn't there a danger where you could end up having a lot of self-praise, and then you mentioned the word ego could then quite easily kick in.
So it's very important to understand what ego is and what self-respect is.
Right.
In Hindi, it's called Swaman. Not Swabhiman, but Swaman. and ego is abhiman.
Right.
Now, what is abhiman? Abhiman is a tendency. Say you are younger to me, then I would have this little urge that I have said something and you should agree to it. मैंने कहा है, आपको मानना चाहिए. So when I've said something and I see there is a possibility and you're not listening, you're not understanding, which is fine. But if I'm getting affected by that, then it's ego.
Right.
If I'm younger than you, then there would be a tendency of, I've done something, at least acknowledge, at least appreciate. Abhi abhi thoda maan to do, you know. So when there is this feeling of taking or a need of receiving, that's ego. Right. What would self-respect be, swaman be? I have said something to you. You have a choice whether to accept or not. If you're not accepting, doesn't matter to me. I have the best intentions for you. I have a lot of good wishes for you. That's where I'm coming from. But you choose to experience something else, that's fine. So if I'm not getting affected, I'm in my self-respect. If I'm getting affected, I'm in my ego. Because in my self-respect, I would respect the other person's decision. I would respect the way you want to experience your life rather than imposing my thoughts on you. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay, so I want to move on to this evening's topic, which is more about the spiritual significance of Shivratri. And you touched very nicely about this knowing the self being quite important, and then the whole aspect of Sadashiv. So I guess my next question is, how do you get to know Shiva or God, what do you call it, much better once you've put this into practice about knowing yourself first? So I guess the next step is, then how do you know God?
Who is God? Who is God? We use this word God a lot of time, right? And some people get irritated by this word God. Like, okay, let me be away from this word, right? But what God really is, God is not a word, it's an abbreviation. You understand abbreviation? Like short form, right? And what is it? G stands for generator. Like he generates, he creates. That's why we say he is the creator. Right? O stands for operation. Whatever is being created, it needs to be sustained. And that's why you need somebody help sustain. Right. Like say, this building is being created, it's being generated. Then you need somebody to maintain it, sustain it, take it forward, And D, destruction, destroyer. Or you could say purifier, transformation. So G-O-D.
Quite a contrast.
Quite a contrast. You're creator and you're destroyer.
No, destroy and purifier.
So what is this? Yeah. Now let's put context to it. If God, like say for example, if you know, many of you know me here, there are just a couple who have come for the first time who would not know me. But if you know me, you know what kind of personality I am. If I'm going to create something, what do you think? How would that be? Would I add anger to it? What do you guys think? No, right? Would I add some negativity to it? No. Even if I'm cooking something, that vibrations which I would put into it would be of love, would be of benevolence, right? So if God is creating something, do you think he would create something which is imperfect? No. But today's world, full of imperfections, right? So when God had created something which was beautiful, but say for example, I create something and I gift you. Now whose responsibility it is to maintain, sustain? My responsibility. Now if you don't look after it, at one point of time, what's going to happen? The energy is going to shift. Yeah. So the world that God had created Who were our ancestors? The deities? Sri Krishna, Sri Ram, Shiva, all these beautiful deities. And in Hinduism, they say there are 3.3 billion, 33 crore deities. That's the population, actually. So everybody was divine. We were divine at one point of time. That's what we call Satyug or Golden Age, right? The population was divine. But then we lost it. The energy shifted. Now, can any one of us tell that, yes, I am divine? No. Right? So what has happened? The divinity has now transformed into ordinariness.
Right.
Or maybe even lower.
Yeah.
And that's why instead of experiencing divinity, instead of experiencing unconditional happiness, love, and joy in my life, I'm experiencing something like anger. How many of you experience anger? Yeah, right? How many experience moments of greed? Right? How many of we experience moments of ego or attachment or lust, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, all those? We all experience that. Now, look at the contrast. He created divinity, love. We created attachment. He created wisdom. We created ego. He created purity. We created lust. Contrast. So when after I've given you something, you've not maintained, after many years I come and say, hey, how is it? And then you say, this is what I've created a mess out of it. And what am I supposed to do? Because I am the creator, I know how to purify it. I know how to transform it. And that's where you need to destroy. Like say if I have a clay, some idol of clay, right? But it's not coming nice. Then what will I do? I'll put water, I'll soften the clay, I'll mix it again. So the original form is now destroyed. But with the same clay, I'm creating a new one. So what God does He takes away all the sorrows, He takes away all the impurities, He takes away all the greed and all the vices that I have and transforms those vices into virtues. And that's where purification takes place.
So it's nice that you touched on this whole aspect of God's role.
And I'll just put like one point here. Yeah. How do you define darkness? Is there a definition for darkness? Anyone?
State of ignorance?
Absence of light, not even lack of light. It's absence of light. What is anger?
Absence of love.
There you go. Right? Absence of peace. What is greed? Absence of happiness. Because I think if I get that, I'll be happy. So that lack of happiness results into greed. So when we're talking about the light, when the light comes, when I have given the light, the supreme, a space in my life, then automatically all the lackness disappears. So there is no greed, there is no lust, there is no anger, there is no ego. There's the light.
So staying on the subject of the light, my next question is, within this festival, it seems like it's quite a huge festival celebrated in India and across the globe, generally in the months of February or March. And so the question that I had then is, after what we were discussed, is how can we then acquire blessings on this auspicious festival?
Normally what people do out there, they have something called Jagran today. I mean, on Shivratri day. Have you all ever done Jagran? Anybody? How do you do Jagran? How do you keep yourself awake?
Coffees.
Correct. Yeah. Eating. Correct. So on the path of devotion, there's Jagran, there's fasting.
Yes.
And on this special day, they have bhang. It's very unusual, but it's kind of an intoxicating drink that people drink. Now, why do we do this? And they say if we do it very religiously, you'll get blessings.
That's right.
You'll get good fortune. But if we understand the true meaning behind this ritual, I think we can get more blessings than just by doing that.
Right.
So the first thing is Jagran, which means to be awake. Awaken my intellect, not my eyes, not rejecting the sleep, but my intellect. And what do I mean by awaken the intellect is when intellect is awakened, wide awakened, my conscious is active. And when my conscious is active 24/7, it will not allow me to do anything which is not right. So it protects me from unrighteousness. So if I pay attention to my own self and allow my inner being to be awakened, and that's why they do diya, the light, right? So it's about enlightening here, having that enlightenment within. Second, Jagran is only done during night. It's not done during day, right? Now, what does night mean? See, day in scriptures, it's called Satyug, the day of Brahma. The night of Brahma is Kalyug. And where are we right now? In the time cycle in Kalyug. So throughout the Kalyug, if I am able to keep my inner light awakened, the intellect awakened, I can earn blessings. Number 2, we do fasting. How many of you have children? Yeah. Imagine one day your child comes up to you and says, Dad, I want to make you happy. So today, for 3-4 days, I'm not going to eat anything. Would that make you happy? Wow, my child is remaining hungry for me. Not really. You have your another child who comes and says, Dad, I want to make you happy. So I'm going to cook food for you, especially your favorite dish. What would make you more happier? The one who remains hungry or the ones who has that bond with you and makes effort to do something for you? Which one? The second one, right? So what is fasting? Fasting is not about not having food. Fasting is about self-control, self-discipline. Fasting is about knowing what to intake or what not to take. Right? Like, say on Shivratri, you would not take certain vegetables, you would not take certain grains, but you would take certain kind of fruits and certain kind of veggies. So similarly, in my day-to-day life, what is that which is restricted? That's going to bring loss to me. Can I fast? Say, for example, if I have a habit of going on social media and watching reels for hours and hours, can I have fasting for that? Because that's going to help my intellect. Can I have fasting of anger? Like today, my anger fast. No matter what happens, no matter how much you trigger me, no matter whatever comes on my way, I am not going to get angry today. I'm fasting. So that's where self-control comes. That's where self-discipline comes. And if I'm able to do that, I'll get blessings because I am now cultivating and creating inner strength. And the third one was bhang. It's intoxication drink. And interesting, for bhang, they say the more you fix it, the more intoxication you get, right? So what is it? It's not about a herb, but it's about me understanding who the Supreme is, understanding my relationship. Do you think we all are related to the Supreme? Do you think we all are related to God? How many of you think? Can you raise hands? Majority is saying it. What relation do we have? There should be a name, no? What relationship? How do you see God? Yeah, but say, for example, a prime minister and me, is there a relationship? Protector? Can you name it? Name the relation? Father? Everybody thinks God is our Father, the Supreme Father, Creator. Agree? Can we come to consensus? Now tell me one thing. If he is my father, I have a father who has given birth to this physical body, right? Everybody has. And that father's DNA runs into this DNA, this body's DNA. So if God is my father, don't you think his DNA also runs into me?
Very interesting. Yeah.
I have God's DNA. We all have God's DNA because we belong to him. So if I have God's DNA, am I able to recognize that and then churn, manthan,
Reignite.
Exactly. That's going to create intoxication. And that intoxication is going to give me strength to deal with the current challenges that I face in my life. So when I do these three things, when I understand these three things, automatically I make myself into such an elevated character, a personality that attracts positivity, that attracts blessings. I don't have to earn blessings.
Yeah.
They come to me because my attitude towards life has shifted. My attitude towards situation has changed. I'm no more into the victim zone.
Right.
I am more into the master zone, and there's a difference. And Maha Shivratri, there's another name for Shiva, it's called Mahakal.
Right.
Mahakal, which means the Lord of Death. But Kal has got two meanings. Kal, one is death, one is time. Right? So going beyond time, making friends with time. Today's example, time is against me. I might have financial challenges, I might have social challenges, I might have relationship issues. Time is not cooperating. But if I have the DNA of Mahakal, and if I recognize that, I can go beyond time and make time my friend. And all those situations that are challenging today can transform themselves into a blessing. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yeah. So, very good definition of how we can acquire blessings on this auspicious festival. I guess my last question is looking at the present time. You mentioned the word time. And so my last question is, sometimes we describe the state of the world as living with fear, sorrow, and hopelessness. So how can the spiritual significance of Shivratri help deal with this issue?
How many of you experience this emotion at some point of time? Fear? Fear? Do you know what's opposite of fear?
Love?
It's love. It's not courage. It's love. When I have filled myself with true love. Have you seen anybody in love? I'm sure everybody must have experienced at some point of loving someone. When we are in love, there is no fear. You have got this amazing strength to fight the world, to give up your life, to stand up for somebody. The world doesn't make a difference. There's no fear. Why? Because love has that strength. So if I'm experiencing fear, that means somewhere deep down I'm lacking love. There's some kind of neediness inside me. There's some kind of maybe fear of failure. Again, why am I scared of failure? Because I'm wanting love from other people. If I fail, people might not accept me as the powerful one.
Maybe there's expectations.
Expectations. So again, I am not seeing myself with my own lenses. I'm seeing myself with other people's lenses. And that's where I lack love. That's where my energy of love gets drained. And then, interestingly, what happens is I start seeking for love. I start seeking love from you, and say. And if I find someone who's temporarily trying to give me love, or who has fallen in love with me, I'll bend. Right? How long does that last? You might have experience, right? Then reality hits. Imagination is over. And then I'm thinking, oh, this was something else. Now what's happened after a few years? It's all evaporate. Friendship sustains, but that feeling, because I have taken already what I could take from that soul. Now that person is empty. Now that person is looking from somebody else or trying to take it from me. Then there is a tug of war that's happening. But if I have recognized the ocean of love, for God they say, tu pyar ka sagar hai. So if I have connected with that ocean of love, then nothing in this world have the strength or the capacity or the potential to make me feel unworthy or to make me feel that I am lacking something or to put me in a zone where I'm needing something or I feel victimized. Nothing. Because I'm full from the purest unconditional love, divine love. Does that make sense? And when I have experienced love, there is no fear, there is no sorrow. And that's why for Shiva, there is this praise, Dukha Harta Sukh Karta. He is the remover of sorrows and bestower of happiness. Because I've experienced love, I'm experiencing happiness. And where there is happiness, where there is love, there is purity, there is power. So Maha Shivratri, the night of great power. And when we connect, we ourselves can experience that power.
So we should replace Bang with a portion of love.
Absolutely. God's love.
God's love. Unconditional love.
Unconditional love.
Okay, great. I think on that high note, I'll end my questions and I'll open up questions to the floor. So if anybody would like to ask anything, we have 10 minutes to take on any questions. You've seen a variety of different subject areas being covered off, all the way from knowing myself, knowing God, understanding how we can experience silence, how we then look at the concept of acquiring blessings, understanding the characteristics of God, understanding the deep spiritual significance of Shivratri, and then really understanding how we can implement love in our life so that we can lead a better life, and hopefully then the world changes and becomes a better place. So I think we've covered the essence of this evening's topic, which was the spiritual significance of Mahashivratri. So I don't have any more questions. So if anybody has any questions, then please raise your hands and we'll have a mic. I'll come around to you.
These things, like what's the most effective way, and this was very helpful, thank you. What's the most effective way to reconnect? We go into autopilot mode, we come here, we feel awesome, right? Then we enter into the real world just outside the door, right? So meditation, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I don't know, it's the mind just flies away, like I said. So is doing regular meditation or going through what we learn every alternate day, what's the most effective way to reconnect to these things?
If I had to answer that in one word, is awareness. Awareness. How much am I aware of myself, my true self? So I just meant in the talk, we did touch upon the point before you all came that I have to let go of all the labels that I have given myself and the world has given to me, including my name, my gender, my personality, my nationality, my religion, my faith, everything. What leaves is who I truly am. And if you're talking about Supreme Soul, Shiva, then I know I am a soul as well. Right? So every hour, just for 5 seconds, not even a minute, even for 5 seconds, if I can see myself as that point of light, as a soul, Atma, Ruhu, whatever you call it, and if I can experience myself as a soul, every hour for just 5 seconds, I'll start reconnecting with myself. Possible? Can we try that? We have a beautiful app called B-Zone, B-E-E-Z-O-N-E. If you download that every hour, for few seconds, there is a little beautiful soft music that goes on. And every time, I'm sure who comes here regularly on Tuesdays, you'll see at 7 o'clock there's some music just playing suddenly. That music reminds us to go deeper and connect to who I truly am and connect to the Supreme, of course. So if every hour I cultivate that habit of not seeing myself with other people's vision, not seeing myself with what I think I have done based on my past actions, because they come with a baggage of guilt and regret. Right? Letting go all of that, just see myself as a point of light, beautiful energy. That's it. Just try that much. And see, within a week's time, new energy will be created within you. Not even weeks, time, in that particular day, you'll see the shift.
Thank you.
I find sometimes when you have the right company as well that you keep with you, that also helps your journey. I wanted to just acknowledge that we have Kirishbhai here from the Jara Mandir, so warm welcome. I know you've got a
He's
few
got a
of
question.
your friends here, so I think once we've got the question asked, maybe if you could say a few words as well.
Sister, I have two questions. So you said self-respect versus ego. I want to know more about it. As well as you said anger is a lack of love and fear is a lack of love, not courage. So I want to know more about it.
What do you want to know more?
So,
It's ocean.
so it's saying fear as well as everywhere feeling like missing love, creating fear, and it's reducing self-respect as well. So it's love for myself, or what sort of love you're talking about?
I'm talking about how would you define love? Love is not an emotion, mind you. We think love is an emotion, but love is not an emotion. Love is my own virtue. It's मेरा गुण है, quality, right? So love is something that I have inbuilt. I don't have to seek. I don't have to acquire. I don't have to look for it. I have to just allow it to flow from within me. But I can only do that once I have freed myself from a lot of illusions that I have created. Illusion could be people's opinion. Illusion could be my perspective. Illusions could be, I think something, my beliefs, my conditional thinking, a lot of stuff. When I free myself, when I disidentify myself from all those things, I experience myself. And the moment I experience myself, that's my quality. Like say, for example, what's the quality, natural quality of water? You drink water every day, right? What's the natural quality of water? Liquid? Something very calming. You drink it, it's soothing, right? That's the natural nature. If I boil that water, what's going to happen? Temperature is going to rise. Now, is boiling water, that heat, natural quality of water? No. If I'm going to freeze the water, it's going to become ice, cold. Is that the natural nature of water? No. What's the natural nature? 2 hours you keep, it's going to come back to its original state. Similarly, love is my original state. Peace is my original state. You understand? So if I am away from my original state, that means either I'm influenced by heat or cold. That means I'm influenced by other people's opinion or the situation. So what I have to learn is the art of disidentifying myself from the world out there and be very comfortable with who I am. I need to spend time with myself.
But sister, what about the self-improvement? Like when someone criticizes us and we see is this way that, we need to make ourselves better in this particular
Just work on
way.
yourself. That's it. Full stop.
No. Mostly we do it because we don't want to listen that particular criticism from other person. It's embarrassing. So we try to push ourselves to not to listen that. So even if we are not doing it inside, we are saving ourselves from the outside world, that we will not get criticized over in that situation. So in that situation, what should we do?
If I was in that situation, and if somebody had criticized me, Girish Bhai wants to ask a question. So if I had a situation and I'm being criticized by not just one person but 2-3 people, my first response to that would be, if I'm having a reaction, like you said, embarrassment, or I want to ask something, I will first go within myself and see if I'm being criticized. Does that have an element of truth in it? First question. If that has an element of truth, let me be dignified enough to accept it. And the moment I accept it, I'm not embarrassed, because I'm grateful that somebody has identified the blind spot that I couldn't see myself. And once I've accepted it, it's easy for me to work on it. If I'm feeling embarrassed, it's not my self-respect, it's my ego that's being crushed. And then I'm not going to truly work on it, I'm going to work on the results, which is going to drain me. Because I'm just working on the external, superficial level. So it's very important for me to see where my response is coming from. If it's coming from and if I see there is no element of truth, it could be mere that person's personality, then I don't need to bother about it. I don't need to invest my time and energy into it. So that way, I remain stable. Jibai.
Thank you, sister. It's really interesting, and we are so glad to be here today, having been invited on this very auspicious and religious day. I know quite a bit, or reasonably bit, of Brahma Kumari and the institution that we all try and share the knowledge and the power that you would like to share with the world out there. And we are so glad that living outside India and living in the Western world with the Western greed, attachment, more and more and more, always. And this is keeping us to the floor level. So I'm sure our British population and, of course, the world population, I know we are there throughout the world, that we are human beings are learning a lot to be being a human. But still, we fail as individuals sometimes to see ourselves connected with God. And that's all about Kam, Karam, Lobh, Moh, Maya. These are the 5 vices that we very well know. These are the vices. My question, and I keep on asking myself also, because I'm part of those vices, and I'm sure many of us are here. If Lobh and Maya were not there, the world would not have grown to the level it has grown in the last 50, 60, 100 years. With technology, with achieving the goals, and we keep on increasing our goals, and that's where the greed comes. I had a 1-bedroom rented room, and then I want a 2-bedroom flat, and then I want a 5-bedroom house. I had a little bike, and I got now a Rolls Royce, and I'm still not happy. So I can't distinguish between the greed that we should stop somewhere and the world growth that has automatically happened by the human beings. I can have some sort of answer to that. Thank you.
So there are 2 things, Girish Bhai, that you have touched upon. The first thing is, what is the true meaning of growth? Because you said we are achieving technology-wise, we are achieving, last few generations, we have never been so successful in many, like we've gone to the moon and all these things. But at the same time, there is a lack of deterioration in values. If you see, you can see the generation next, your generation after you and the generation after that. There's a huge difference between the values, and the values that the generation before our generation had and the values, the set of values that the generation after us is having, it's huge difference. The happiness, the contentment, the strength that this generation had, it's huge. This generation, there is no strength. Now, do you say that a generation which is being gifted with all the technology, which has been gifted with AI, which has been gifted with all the luxuries, but still not happy, is that a sign of growth? That's my question. No, not really. It's sign of decline. And where self-harm, how many suicide cases or divorce cases did you hear in your grandfather's generation? And now, every other day.
Right? Especially
it's common.
Especially after COVID.
After COVID, the younger generation, identity crisis. So it's not that greed is leading to a greater lifestyle, but of course it's leading to something lackness within the generation, collective consciousness. So yes, I am running behind something, I'm achieving that, it's not giving me contentment. So I'm running again more and more. Why? I'll answer that question. Because the need for respect, the need for happiness, it's unlimited. Do you agree? If I am going to, say for example, if Mitesh thinks wearing this suit is going to give him respect, right? So what he's doing, he's connecting his unlimited need of respect with limited resource of clothing. So he's going to run behind brands. How much can he run? One point is going to stop. And then what's going to happen? I am trying to derive unlimited need from limited resources. At the end of the day, I'm going to be tired. Right? And that's why, despite of all these achievements, we are not happy. We are tired. We are drained. We don't see the purpose. So I'm not saying that we should not go for ambition, but ambition with values. Values. Maintaining my ethical, moral values and achieving greatness. That's what divinity is. I think that's what in every religion, whether it's Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, every religion, the deities or the founder of the religion, they have achieved greatness. Jalaram Baba, they have achieved greatness. They've achieved miraculous greatness, but they never let go of their ethical and moral personal values. So yes, let me move forward in my life with my values. That would help. And I can only do that when I'm connected with the Supreme, the powerhouse, the ocean. So I'm sitting on this chair. It's got 4 legs. If one leg is not right, then no matter how strong 3 legs are, I'm not going to be able to sit comfortably. And that's what the state of world is. Economical, social, technological, everything is there. Spiritual leg, it's missing. And that's why that greatness is not allowing me to experience happiness. Does that answer your question? Okay.
So I think on that note, should we maybe
just have a moment, just a couple of minutes,
meditation,
trying to connect, right? Before we end today's session. So let us sit comfortably. Take few deep breaths and allow myself to be in this present moment. in this now moment, which is free from all the happenings of the day, which is independent from my past actions. This moment in time is fresh and it completely belongs to me. I go deep within myself. I focus my thoughts on this beautiful awareness of who I truly am. In the mirror of my mind, I see myself as a point of light. Beautifully radiating. I radiate vibrations, and as I connect with myself in this moment, I try to identify that vibration of love that I'm radiating, vibration of peace that I am radiating. And my radius of this energy, the frequency that I am tuned right now, allows me to connect with the frequency of the divine, the supreme God, Father Shiva, the seed, the one who is beyond the journey of birth and death, most powerful one. I see the supreme light in front of me. And I see myself being embraced with this powerful divine energy. I can feel God's love, God's light penetrating deep within me, healing me, strengthening me, empowering me. I, the point of light, belong to the Supreme Being. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Mitesh and Nidhi, I would say. It's quite eye-opening, isn't it? The intellect's open now, I think. And so Mahashivratri, and it's not only the birthday of that one, the one who is awakening, but also we are awakened. So at the same time, I'd like to also pick out one thing that I appreciated is when you want to transform your vices into virtues, that's a lot of effort. And we always say where there's effort, then there's always success. So the more effort you make in shining your gold, the sparkle is there. And when we forget the sparkle and there's dullness, that's when all the issues come. So keep the effort of transforming yourself, virtues, and remember, that one is with us. And his knowledge, as you saw, Nidhi Ben shared beautifully with the answers. And I think it's worth going back to the YouTube for those online too, and all of you, revise it all. I think it's important. And it will happen in your life. And not only will it happen, you will be an inspiration to open the light in many others' eyes too. Because each one is responsible to awaken each one next to them. And that's how it works. But I'm very happy to see all of you tonight. And special thanks to our VIP guests. So beautiful. They came last minute, and so we deeply appreciate them here, especially from the Talara Mandir. And tonight's announcements, follow-up programs. Firstly, next week, same day, same time, is the topic Safeguarding My Happiness by Sister Yona. She's coming all the way from Oxford, from the Global Retreat Center. So please invite your friends, family, whoever wishes to come to listen and be present here. And then we have meditation sessions every Sunday online. And we also have meditation session from Mondays and Thursdays, in-house, but also online. So for those informations, you can just log on to the website, www.innerspacewembley.org. And there's a fast-track Raj Yoga meditation happening soon. The date is 18th March to 24th March, Monday to Sunday, 7 days straight, online. So please again register, go online. And I do request, after such a beautiful program this evening, before we give you Toli and blessings, that it is a special energy generated. Sister Daksha is in India, and Sister Nidhi is here now, and you all know her now. She's quite responsible while she's away, and I think you'll support the fact that you'll bring more and connect everyone to really support the works. Because when you do that, you will be happy. That's how you become happy, by serving, by sharing and bringing more. And so if you want, there is a beautiful session for marking the International Women's Day, hosted by the Wembley Central Big Local at the Patidar House, London Road. The leaflet is at reception, HA97EX postcode. And so it's this Saturday, 9th of March, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. is the actual program. But Sister Nidhi will be doing a session between 2 and 2:30. So you're most welcome to join that, should you wish to go to another venue to experience the same thing. So I always recommend go to different places, listen to the same inspiration, and something opens up with different friends. Okay? And finally, the product for the week for the shop downstairs is God's Healing Power. So God's Healing Power, and today's God's birthday, his day. Buy the book. If you haven't, those who haven't got a book, it's a book that when I read, touched me deeply, by Daddy Janki. Because she's the one who, when people saw her, always remembered God. She had eyes that help souls remember God. She had a personality that when she walked, you would feel that there was something godly about her. She'd be in the room, but you wouldn't feel her bones and flesh walking in. You'd feel the spirit walking in. And everybody saw that. And so our aim is that when we transform, we become light. And so today's topic, living with life, is not only about thinking about it, not only being it, but living it. It has to be in the rhythm, which we are still making effort on. But the book can help you unfold that experience even more with the CD too in the background. So thank you very much, and we'd like to share with you some Tolian blessing before you go. Om Shanti, good night, and thank you.